Leave behind the safety of the Humblewood and travel down the Tangrip coast to the Bay of Baluch, home to both the Kingdom of Den and the Serpent Domain. But neither hold the true power of the bay, for that lies in the sea itself and the pirate lords that call her tides their own. The dread pirate Captain Bluebeak, Tiberius Fang, Kin the Bladeless, and Gabrielle LaFleur, the self-proclaimed pirate queen. Each one vying for power over the very tides themselves. But do any of them really have what it takes to hold up the legacy of the briny bulldog? Tune in each week to find out if our little crew has what it takes to stand up to the pirates of the blood-soaked waters. Dark Fortunes is available every Monday on iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. Set sail for high seas adventure.
This is Tabletop Babble. I'm James Introcaso. Today on the show, I am chatting with Celeste Konowicz and Neil Powell about the ultimate guide to hair. This amazing 5th edition supplement is all about using hair as weapons, magic items, as flavor for your story, as monsters. It is really, really cool. I am biased because I am actually a stretch goal here, but Celeste and Neil do amazing work. So here's my interview with them. It is one of the most fun we've ever had on this show. Okay, everybody, now I'm here with two of the greatest humans of all time. Of all time, not even in role-playing games, just in general. We have two amazing people here with us. Let's go around the table and quickly tell me who you are and what you do in the world of tabletop role-playing games. Celeste, let's start with you.
Hey everybody, my name is Celeste Konowicz. I am an RPG designer, writer, podcaster, streamer. Basically, if you can find role-playing games online, I'm probably doing that, whatever it is. So hey everybody, and I'm one of your writers on this cool thing we're going to talk about today.
And Neil, how about you? Who are you and what do you do in the world of tabletop role-playing games?
I am DM Neil, a.k.a. Joke Maniac.
It's jack of all trades, master of none. Boom.
Yep, IAC and call it good. But I don't know. Let's just talk about the thing we're doing, because I feel like it feels so weirdly self-promotional to say things like, well, I'm the host with Celeste on DMnastics. I've been the host for years on the Dungeon Masters blog. I'm the producer and editor for Whelm, the Young Justice Files. If you want to see really weird stuff that I come up with, you can go to thestruggleisneil.com, where you can see blog posts that I make called LP to RP, where I take vinyl covers and make 5th edition content. Sure.
Okay, if we were going to do that, I know, I just really didn't want to humble brag about the fact that I'm the producer and dungeon master for Venture Maidens, an actual play podcast. I'm one of your DMs Guild adepts for 2020, writing all kinds of stuff. I also host with DMnastics with Neil. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff, I'm glad we didn't want to say all of that for self-promotion.
Agreed. Or the countless times that we've been on other podcasts or streams where I ran a high-level game for you and Lisa and Dan. Oh, people that just work for Wizards. Whatever.
Whatever. It's fine.
So safe to say you are both steeped in the world of role-playing games in a big, bad way, which is why it is super exciting that you two have teamed up once again, this time to bring us a book, and it is wild. So
yes.
Could someone tell me what this book is and what it's all about?
A dad joke that's now 64 pages long, I think is probably the best way to start this conversation.
Mm-hmm. With full art and just full of dreams. So we are currently working on and kickstarting The Ultimate Guide to Hair, which is a 5th edition supplement that is full of magic items, monsters, subclasses, deities, all kinds of options specifically based around the theme of hair. Hair of all types and varieties.
And one of the big things that we talk about in the very beginning book is that you go ahead, place your tongue firmly in cheek, just like we did. But one of the other things is you can easily have the absolute most insane session you've ever had by using this book. Or your player could find something that really speaks to them because they love the idea of the hair of their character and making something very serious at your table.
So give me some examples. What are some things, specific things that I might see in this book that it's cool for you to talk about at this point?
Big hair. Big hair.
Yeah, I mean, we really went big all over the place here. So, like, big hair just throughout this whole thing. I mean, so one of my favorite items that I think is really fun, a can of prismatic hairspray is something that you can expect to see. So, I mean, rainbow hairspray that does amazing things in the midst of combat, all the way to things that are a little bit more serious, like a race I created called the Woven, which is literally like strands of hair from a people that have been woven together to contain the memories of a people over time. And so this kind of construct race option. So sort of all over the place. Yeah, Neil, what are some of your favorite? Neil has some ones in there.
Yeah. I am not afraid of a pun. I'm very comfortable. But I think one of the earliest ideas that I had that I love the most, it's already in the ash can that we have created. So we have art for it. It's already done in layout, is the beard golem. And so the concept that all of these dwarves that have passed away and someone taking magical energy and forming that back into an actual beard golem. It's an entire golem.
Fearsome. Though the art Katie did for it is so cute. It's kind of...
Yes.
Yeah, so are there a lot of things, are there a lot of creatures in this book that look like Cousin It from the Addams Family?
I did take the basis of the Gossamer from old Looney Tunes and made that as a monster.
That is a thing that exists. I mean, and then we have, we have a bunch of different Sierra monsters on there. I made the Haribou, which is specifically a domesticated animal grown for wig making. So, you can find Haribou of all types and varieties to suit whatever wig you might need.
And as anyone should do, when you design something, save it. You never know when you're going to use it for later, be it in your home game or be it for a published product. James, you've actually seen one of these creatures that I developed many moons ago. It didn't really go anywhere, but I had it sitting there and I repurposed it to be a lock dragon. So it's actually a dragon made completely of hair, and one of the main things it can do is basically attach to you and completely take over your body. And now it has a host. And so you can imagine just these wings of hair coming off another creature that is dominant.
Oh, I can see now I need to put a content warning on this podcast for both for puns and for people who I guess are weird about hair.
I do to warn you, have a spell called Mustache Copter, where a big mustache grows out of your face, becomes a spinning helicopter. And at the end of the spell, it does rip off of your face and go fly off into the universe. So content warning is probably necessary for this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was not prepared for that.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we're gonna follow it up, because one of the really big things that we wanted to do, I'll follow serious so that we can give ourselves a moment, and then I'll go back into it. But we wanted to make sure that every aspect of 5e design was touched. So backgrounds, class options, races, spells, monsters, magic items, basically anything that we could think of. So I have a background, and I entitled it Lycan Nope. And you're just not a were creature anymore, but you're kind of hairy.
You're not a were creature, but you're a hair creature.
Yeah. Puns are going to be so fierce. I'm just stealing my body for every day of this Kickstarter because seriously.
So where did this idea come from? How does the genesis of something like this happen? Because it does sound like, you have a lot of fun, but you're taking everything extremely serious in a design sense, right? You want things to work and it's not just game-breaking stuff all over the place. So talk to me about, like, how did this idea come about and how did it turn into a real thing?
I mean, Neil, you kind of had the inception of this idea. So how did you? I remember the day you came to me and were like, Celeste, we should make this, and I said, yes, Neil. I'm here for you. So what was the origin story before that moment?
So I had actually looked at the idea of making an entire dwarf-based product. If you think about second edition, there's a lot of very intentionally themed books. So the ultimate, if you will, the ultimate guide to certain things, the ultimate fighter, the ultimate rogue, things like that. And so I had kind of thought about the idea of dwarves. But the inclusivity of that idea is very minimal. It's people that want to play dwarves. It's people that most likely want to play male dwarves. That's not, and certainly that does not leave me enough room to make the puns that I want to make. So
there needs to be more space.
So the idea then was to make the ultimate guide to hair, because at that point, one, it is still absolutely as ridiculous as I want it to be, which is, left to my own devices, the design space I will always go into is this insanity. And then, I'll let you take it from there. I said, Celeste, we have to make this thing.
Yeah, and I think at that point we had just recently started doing the Gymnastics podcast together, so we had to see each other like every week or so anyway. And then you like threw this idea out there, and I was like, wow, that's I cannot pass that up. There's nothing like that out here for Dungeons and Dragons right now. And the more you think about hair, like, it relates to everyone. Everyone has hair of some kind or another. And there's a long tradition of hair meaning a bunch of different things in a bunch of different cultures in a bunch of different ways. And so it seemed perfectly natural to integrate that already into D&D. Like, hair should be as fantastical in this magical world where everything we have is touched by magic and power and majesty. So I was like, yes, Neil, absolutely. And I think also we didn't really have a scope planned for what this was going to be. We thought maybe like a smaller supplement or something. But I think we just worked so well together through the process that it just like opened up. And all of a sudden we're coming with all these ideas to the table, and every week it was something new and exciting. So, it really became this full product idea. And I think before we even knew it, boom, we had a whole book, a whole 64-page book sitting in front of us of all of these ideas.
Hey everybody, just wanted to take a quick break to let you know that this episode of Tabletop Babble is brought to you by Elderwood Academy. Elderwood Academy makes amazing handcrafted wood products that you can use at the table. They are beautiful. I'm talking about dice towers, dice trays, dice boxes, deck boxes, dice, and so much more. I have 2 of their spellbook boxes. They are amazing. They're bound in leather. They're made with quality wood. They have this mirror on the inside you can use as a whiteboard. They have custom inserts so you can hold minis, pencils, dice, whatever else you need, and you can pull that out to make your book into a rolling tray. That is a chef kiss right there. To find out more, go to elderwoodacademy.com/don'tsplit. That's elderwoodacademy.com/don'tsplit. Let them know DSPN sent you. Let's get back to the babble. I've done a lot of podcasts in my life, and this is the first time that I'm sort of speechless here. It's just such a cool idea, honestly. And like you said, Celeste, there really isn't anything like this in this space. And obviously people can have a lot of fun with this, but I think there's also there's just great potential for things that you could drop in and scatter throughout your games, right? Because you've covered the gamut of D&D things, right? There might be an interesting creature or magic item in here that sparks your imagination, and so maybe even for a more serious game, right, you might be able to drop some of these things in. The woven sound really very compelling, there's like a lot of story that is just fascinating. And the fact I am currently working on my own dad joke project myself, right? I'm rewriting the monster manual with my dad. So I can really appreciate what you are doing. Who else is working on this with you? You've shouted out a couple of artists. Who else is on this thing?
Yeah, so we have an amazing team of folks here. So we have Katie Budavin, who is also a member of the Venture Maidens podcast, but she is doing all of the art, the interior art for this book. And she just has been so wonderful because I was like, Katie, how are we going to do this? Are we going to do this fantastic art? And then I looked at kind of the older style that you see like in the Fiend Folio or in like the AD&D products, where it's that line drawing, that black and white sort of like simplified, not really cartoon, but it's a very interesting style. And I was like, you know what, this like works perfectly for this because these things are so imaginative and like colorful. We need a way that is accessible to explain all of these things. So she's worked really hard to cultivate an incredible style for all these interior art pieces. So I'm stoked that we have Katie on board for this project.
She's been, one, just great to work with. The other thing is, the moment that stands out most to me is so we did create 2 deities at this point, and I created the deity of baldness, which obviously is the polar opposite of everything we're kind of talking about. But I didn't know what I wanted to do. And Celeste just sends me like a napkin drawing that Katie was like, this is what I was thinking. I'm like, well, I guess we're done. This is perfect. And this is what we'll do.
Yeah. And then also for editing, we have Jeff Ellis, who does a ton of great stuff. Yeah, so and Jeff, like, I worked with him. He organized some products on the DMs Guild and was like just really great at wrangling a bunch of different people and getting them together. So I was like, I trust this guy immeasurably. And he's done a great job editing the Ashcan. So everything that we're going to be previewing on the Kickstarter pages. And he's really stoked and encouraging and just knows his stuff for D&D. So he is a great force to keep us on track in line, because you definitely need a powerful editor who can look at, you know, this product honestly and be like, okay, like maybe we need to scale this back, or like here's how we make this work. So he's been phenomenal on this. And
then definitely want to shout out our cover artist, who is Ethan Nicole. And if you want to talk about some amazing puns, he's the one that did the webcomic Axe Cop that was eventually picked up and on Fox Animation. He does another webcomic called Bearmageddon, which is an apocalypse where bears take over the world. So perfect person to go ahead and create our cover art.
And then, of course, rounding it out, we have Mike Evans, who has been working so valiantly on Venture Maidens forever. He does our layout. He's really great with like social media graphics and is just like really putting the polish and finishing up that little Kickstarter video for us. So his design guidance has been so helpful over the course of this project. And then, of course, I mean, do we want to talk about our Kickstarter stretch goal writers? Because we got kind of a powerhouse going on here.
We do, because one of the biggest things for us when we did make the decision to be on Kickstarter was there's nothing more that we would want to do than collaborate with the people that we know and love in this community. Honestly, like that's the biggest joy out of this Kickstarter, is being able to pay them what they deserve, work with them, and watch their minds go through the same insane process that ours did and create super weird stuff related to hair.
Yeah. So we've got a powerhouse team we're shouting about right now. So our Kickstarters who have so graciously agreed to come onto our project. So we have Jen Vaughn, who is a comic book author and maker of a million things from the D20 Dames podcast. We have GM Tim, who is a fabulous professional DM out there in the space. It's just a super amazing positive influence on the community.
Great, yeah.
Yeah, we have Victoria Rogers, who is the producer of the Broadswords D&D podcast, just now getting into writing and really excited about it, does 1,000 great things in the community. We have TK Johnson, the DM for the Tales from the Mist show on Wizards of the Coast, also an incredible spooky writer.
Yes, I'm so excited.
And went to like styling school as well, so like has a ton of knowledge about cosmetics and like hairstyling. So I'm really, really, really excited to see what TK, what they bring to the table. And then, of course, we have Lisa Penrose, who does 1,000 million positive, amazing things for the D&D community. The brand manager for the DMs Guild, a cast member of Tales from the Mist, runs a bunch of shows and D&D community, and so many other things. Lisa's just incredible.
Former roommate of Celeste Konowicz.
My former roommate, the loveliest person I know, besides you two, of course. And then
we know she's more lovely than we are, and we're fine with it.
Yeah, than all of us put together. And then, of course, we have Ashley Warren on the project, who is a famous writer in the D&D world.
Never heard of her.
Yeah.
Never heard of her.
She is one of the DMs Guild adepts as well, and just publishes so many incredible products and runs the D&D Writers Workshop, which is a great program. RPG Writers Workshop, which is a great program for new writers.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
And our final tier that we have is Devin Rue, who the map mistress herself. I mean, just making things for Critical Role. I think you guys have probably heard of that. And
it's a little known actual play show.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear some people are just getting into it. I don't know how you would possibly do that. But she's one of the absolute nicest people I have ever met, and the fact that she was willing to jump on. If we're being honest, I've already seen what she wants to make. It's amazing. But speaking of amazing, and one of the best people in the world, we also have James Introcaso.
Never heard of him. Terrible.
Yes.
Terrible hack. I would not have him on your pun-laden project, lest he besmirch with inferior puns.
It will be great. And so, like we said, one of our biggest focuses is getting these other people to join just to make a more insane product. And eventually, one of the other stretch goals is possibly making a fully illustrated playable module all about hair. So,
yeah. Wow. So, if you do hear this and you do want these amazing people to contribute to the book, please do. You can make that happen by donating to reach these different stretch goal levels.
Wow. That is, first of all, if I may, it was when Neil and Celeste told me about this project, I was like, yeah, this is great. I am in. And I'm in because it's super fun, but also it is just a really original idea. And I am so happy to see people take these original ideas and run in different directions with them. And I think this is something people can get behind. And I was going to ask the question about, is there something in there for bald characters? And it sounds like there definitely is, right? Yeah, that hair of all lengths is addressed.
Yes. And so one of the things that we did during the design process when we approached the deity, and I do really want to convey, as hilarious as this thing is, how I think one of the weirdest experiences is how serious Celeste and I become when it comes to actual design. The icing on this cake is certainly the puns and the utter insanity that is everything, but when we design, it's with intention, and we don't want it because I don't want a broken thing at my table, and so I would.
No, I mean, we're both veteran DMs over here, and so I think definitely thinking about what we can incorporate in our games, what we would like to see, and what we would like to play, and how to make these things really feasible, relatable, and usable has always been a top priority for us.
So when we designed the deities, the thing that I said we have to do is we immediately created both a cleric domain and a paladin oath for each deity that we've created. So that if you do want to follow the deity of baldness, you can do it as both a cleric or a paladin.
How much armpit hair is addressed in the supplement?
We've got some spells. We've got some items.
Oh, all right.
It's definitely addressed.
Yep.
Don't you worry.
Yeah. And I mean, it sounds like I feel like some leanings are happening towards what someone wants to design.
I know. So, I mean, if James gets to design, I don't know.
I would love if this podcast just turned into a design meeting. Would be great. I mean, there are really so many great things. And when I think about this supplement, right, and you think about hair, there are so many varieties and so many things people can do. You can cut your hair, you can grow your hair, you can color your hair. There are different types of fine or thick, all that kind of stuff. How much do those different qualities, shall we say, of hair play into the mechanics?
Yeah, I think one of the things from that perspective is minimal, and it's set with this weird level of intention that because a person's hair can be so personal and so meaningful, that it would be the same way as like when you write this feels so much more serious, and I don't know what I'm doing, but when you write a good novel, the idea is that a person can put themselves into the main character's shoes. And so oftentimes, I mean, I hate to use this analogy, but Twilight, everyone feels like, Bella, is that the name? Because they never leave me alone.
No one is judging you.
Hey man, I love Teen Wolf. I don't know.
No one on this call is judging me. I agree. But with intention, they don't describe Bella because you are then allowed to put yourself in the shoes of that character. And that's one of the things that was kind of meaningful for us is like, I don't want to take that away. I don't want to say that the hair is a certain way because then you don't have the ability to do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of our creatures that are like made of hair, for example, we leave that open as to like what kind of hair, all kinds of hair work for these monsters, or, the spells that affect your hair grows to like be this thing or to do these attacks. So it really encourages people to ride also with what they want their character design to be, what they want their character to look like. So the themes are there and you can plug and play what you like or put your personality, because everyone's hair has got a lot of personality and we want to leave space for that.
The idea that you're at the table, James, and you're playing this character and you cast the 4th level spell, Hairball. I get to ask you,
what does it look like?
I mean, I retch for a few moments before I vomit out a hairball that I assume explodes like fireball. Is that where this is going?
And has some elements of casting web at the same time.
Gotcha.
Yes.
So how much does like pet hair that would not be considered humanoid hair play into this? Like, are we a humanoid hair only? Are dragon hair? Not dragons, but like dogs. Dogs part of this.
We definitely have like fur included as well. So some of the subclasses touch on, fur. And then of course we have a bunch of different creatures in there. We have a lot about like wig making and wig makers,
sure.
Which, can use animal hair or human hair. So it's all kind of woven in.
Nice. Well done.
There.
Well done.
Woven.
This sounds really, really incredible. So right now, your product is on Kickstarter. If people want to find it, where should they go and what should they do?
So it'll be kickstarter.com/projects/the ultimate guide to hair.
Nice. Excellent. Which, of course, we will link in the show notes for this podcast for people who want to check it out right away. Where can people find both of you on the internet?
Yeah, I mean, the best place to find me and to hear constant hair announcements is going to be to follow me on Twitter at ckonowicz.com. And if you want to learn more about all those things we decided not to mention at the beginning, you can check out celestekonowicz.com to see everything I'm working on, including more information about the ultimate guide to hair.
If you follow me on Twitter at JoteManiac, Jack of all trades, master of none, IAC, you'll find it. We are going to be shouting about this thing. And I'm sure other people are going to be shouting about this thing. So confused and so pleasantly surprised.
So happy and loud and proud.
Well, I am extremely excited to be part of this with you. I am extremely excited for the two of you. Two great designers. People should check out your work no matter what you're doing, but this is super fun. And people are going to get a lot of use out of this at the table as well. So thank you both so much for joining me today on Tabletop Babble. I really appreciate it. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Tabletop Babble. Celeste and Neil are awesome. Tabletop Babble has a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Intracasso. That's patreon.com/Intracasso, where you can support the show, plus World Builder Blog, everything else I do. I hope the show is worth at least $1 a month to you and that you will check it out and all of the cool extra rewards over at patreon.com/Intracasso. And hey, if you're already supporting, thank you so so much. And if you can't afford to or want to help us out in another way, head on over to iTunes. You can create a free account, rate us, rate all the podcasts you love. We'll super appreciate it. Even if you're not listening through iTunes, odds are your podcatcher app uses the iTunes algorithms to rate and recommend podcasts to others. Plus, if you leave us a 5-star review, I'll read it out loud. You can make me say anything you want. All right, people, you can find my work at worldbuilderblog.com and at twitter.com/JamesIntricasso. I had a cool product release last week that I worked on with the other DMs Guild adepts on the DMs Guild. It is called Oracle of War, salvage bases and missions. It teaches you how you can build amazing bases in Eberron in the Mournland. Plus, it has a guide and rules for building AL legal adventures you can sell on the DMs Guild. It is really cool. We put a lot of hard work into it. I would love for you to check it out. It's Oracle of War, salvage bases and missions. Tabletop Babble is a show on the Don't Split the Podcast Network. Thanks to Rudy Basso for founding it with me. Our theme music, which you're listening to right now, was provided by Battle Bards. Don't forget, RPGs are like sex. Hey everybody, I just wanted to let you know the episode of Tabletop Babble you just listened to was brought to you by D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond is the official digital toolset and game companion for Dungeons and Dragons. Go check it out. All right, so look, you know D&D Beyond. You've heard people talk about it. You probably know the song D&D Beyond, that whole thing. It's awesome. It's really great. I use it all the time when I am designing. It makes my life so much easier. It makes my work faster, which means I'm making money quicker. So go check it out, dndbeyond.com. They got all kinds of great free resources. The basic rules are up there. A lot of stuff that's in the OGL. You'll be writing in no time. So go check it out, dndbeyond.com. Tell them Don't Split the Podcast Network sent you.